Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Forsaken Truth. Today, I'll be reacting to a reaction video, and my opinion is not really anchored towards the video itself they're reacting to, but more to the reaction of to the video. So let's get ready to begin, shall we?
Not resisting, not resist.
I need to call mama.
No, no, stop.
But I need to stop. What am I doing? Oh
Stop.
no! You oh my god, this is illegal.
One
I need to
resisting.
call my mama.
I don't
Well, I can't help but you notice that he's saying one resisting. We're always resisting. This is a teenage girl, okay?
give a turn
I
around.
didn't even do
Turn
shit.
around.
This is illegal.
Turn around.
Wow, look at that.
Turn around.
You cannot punch me.
Turn around.
I need to call my mama.
Turn around. I'll punch you again if you don't turn.
This is insane. I can't help but respond to what's going on, but I'm gonna proceed without no more interruption until I get to the points that I want to make.
Around. Who said I can't punch you in your face?
Somebody call my mama. Help
Turn around. The is your problem? Turn around.
A problem
All
is
right,
you beat
this is
her.
a teenage girl. Michael?
It's outrageous. I mean, it's clearly an excessive use of force. I mean,
Now, this is where I have my issues at, as in the European, as he responding. Just listen to his response. Pure virtue signal.
just the admission of a head strike. Uh, you know, just like when you're firing your service weapon, police officers are accountable for each and every one of their individual actions when it comes to using force on a suspect or on an individual to gain compliance. And again, at the end of the day, it's not about them submitting to your ego. It's about them complying with your lawful commands. And so, again, delivering a head strike in a situation, um, you know, that would only be, first of all, it would have been outside of departmental policy. It would only have been justified if it was a life or death situation, which, from that camera angle, from the totality of those circumstances, it clearly was not. Again, like so many times we see play out, law enforcement officers policing with their ego. I always go back to when I talk to other police officers, I go back to the Derek Chauvin, George Floyd interaction, in which, you know, Derek Chauvin was policing with his ego. He was so angry that this individual was not doing exactly what he wanted him to do when he wanted him to do it, that he felt justified to use whatever level of force up to and including murdering him to gain that compliance. And that's just simply not the way that use of force is to be administered. It is to be proportional with the resistance, which in that scenario, all I saw was an individual on the ground on their back. I mean, yelling, crying, screaming are all natural human reactions to somebody applying force to you. And that is not in and of itself resistance. And I think that, unfortunately, there's a training deficiency, but ultimately it comes down to a cultural issue within the institution of policing in this country that has never been addressed. And far too often, especially under this administration, not to make it political, but is actually being supported, which is incredibly problematic. And now we're seeing countless examples of it play out on, you know,
I've had enough. Now, you notice that it has to be a lot of word salad. He has to say a whole bunch of words to get his articulate his point. Why do we have to speak this way? Why we just can't say this officer was wrong? Period. Full stop. What he did was wrong. Abusive use of force, whatever you want to use or say. My next thing is this. He brings up training. Are not all police officers trained the same? Black police officers, Asian, which are just Europeans, but Asian police officers, German police officers, all the ones in America, um, all of the German Americans, the Chinese Americans, the Irish Americans, the the Asian Americans, African Americans, are they not all trained the same in law enforcement? So my question is this: if all officers are trained the same, why we don't see too many headlines where African American cops are doing this to white people, whether they be German, Irish, Chinese? All police officers are trained the same, and countless times we see these European Americans doing the most, going to the most extreme levels against Africans or African Americans or what I would call the indigenous population of America. So if the indigenous people are trained in the same law enforcement tactics, why are indigenous Americans not randomly unaliving Europeans or slamming them to the concrete during an arrest? I've not yet seen a video where indigenous Americans are using excessive force against Europeans. I only see Europeans of all kinds, German, Asian, they're all Europeans, using excessive force against indigenous Americans.
Sidewalks near you.
She's 18 years old. Her name is Elisa Hackett. The officer admitted to punching her and body slamming her.
He only admitted it because it was on doggone camera, Don. If it wasn't on camera, he would denied it. He admitted it because the camera had it recorded. Hello.
And said, and
Again, we go with these, they're admitting it. They're admitting it because they have no choice. They have no choice. Of all the hangings that's happening in America right now, why is there nobody admitting that they did it? You know why? Because it's not caught on camera. So don't take that these people are admitting that they're committing the crime. They have no choice. It's on camera. You don't. If you don't admit it, you're just going to be lying and go through worse. So you have to admit it because it's recorded. That's the only reason why they're admitting it. You take their admitting it like it says something, Don. It doesn't say anything.
threatening to do so again. Charles, you are prosecutor, attorney. How would this go over in a court?
I want to echo everything that
I would like to remind you that this is an indigenous American on the far right. We have a coconut on the far left, and we have a European American in the middle.
Michael just said. He sounded like a civil rights attorney. And I think that it's really important that we zoom out and we look at the totality of the circumstance, but also totality of the institution. There's a distinction between police and policing. And I think that the conversation that we are having all too often is about police when we should be talking about policing, because policing is the actual culture of what Mike just spoke to. And if you're thinking about this in a court of law, I want people to stop.
Who cares about Mike? Honestly, he's virtue signaling. He's virtue signaling. If look, Europeans do nothing but virtue signal. Talk. They did not conquer the world through talking. Just talking. And we can sit around and talk about these problems all we want, but it's not doing anything. I'm talking about it. It's not gonna do anything. It's just talking. Just talking.
For a second and consider what crime could that woman or young lady, she's an 18-year-old young lady, what crime could she have possibly have been suspected of? Did you believe that there was reasonable suspicion or probable cause for an arrest that would warrant in that situation a head strike?
I know the answer. I know what she did. She was born indigenous American. That's all you have to do. You just have to rock the skin. The skin warrants all sorts of violence from law enforcement, European law enforcement. That's all she did. She was born indigenous American. That's it. You just have to exist in America as a European, as an indigenous American, and you will get these reactions. It's a simple question, Charles. I mean, it's a simple answer to that question. Nobody likes to say the simple answer. That's the simple answer. That's what she did. She was born indigenous American. Period.
and slamming to the ground. And whatever the crime is, I largely suspect whatever you think might warrant that, whatever it is that she is suspected of, likely did not rise to the level that warranted that in that situation.
Yes, it did.
I agree with Mike that this is absolutely something that begs the question of excessive force, but I am not going to shy away from the fact, Don, and this may make people uncomfortable. You felt comfortable doing that because she was a black girl.
Thank you.
You would
Thank
not
you.
have hit or punched a white woman in the face who was resisting arrest in that.
See, this is why I like this gentleman right here. I like him a lot. He's not afraid to say the uncomfortable, forsaken truth. Say that, brother. Let's go.
way. I'm not saying that you would not have attempted to restrain her, but I am saying that policing, generally speaking, approaches situations in the way that it does because of the culture. And that culture dictates that there is a lower standard of accountability when it is when we're having conversations about excessive force with victims of color and black people than there are for people of other ethnic backgrounds.
Facts. He is saying everything that I just said. He is saying almost everything I just said. He's articulated in a way that makes Europeans comfortable, which I don't have time for that. I'm gonna say it the way it is. Damn the comfort. I don't. In fact, my job is to make them uncomfortable when I speak. I like to make Europeans uncomfortable every time I open my doggone mouth. Period.
And so that may make people uncomfortable to talk about.
It only makes Europeans uncomfortable to talk about. And any coconut like Don Lemon. Shout out to you, Don Lemon. Much respects to you and everything. As a coconut, you done your thing, but you're still a coconut. Let's go.
But it is a truth that I have seen as a prosecutor. It is a truth that I have seen as a civil rights attorney. And until we are candid and honest about the fact
Mm-hmm.
that you felt, your ego felt that you were okay to do this in the situation, in part because that girl was a black woman or a young black girl,
Exactly.
we are not going to get to where we need to in this conversation about policing in America.
And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, that is forsaken truth. And I'm gonna end it off like this. That gentleman in the middle, that's what I'm talking about. Europeans virtue signal. They say a bunch of word salad. Guy on the right, Charles, he said it as what it is, called it straight down the middle. The European would never do that. He will always use all of these honeyed words that's just instead of saying, and it's not ego, Charles. It's purely white supremacy. That's all it is. They feel comfortable being able to do whatever they do to indigenous Americans or anyone of brown skin that they think is an indigenous American is because they have a superiority complex. Now, I'm not so wise to know if that ties to ego, but I definitely know for sure is they feel superior and they feel comfortable within their superiority. And the only reason why that officer admitted a dang thing is because of the cameras. They're so spoiled to getting away with it that they forget the cameras are rolling. It's going to take another generation or two of body cam and dash cams for these Europeans to get it through their skull that they just can't do stuff like that. So, like I said, once again, ladies and gentlemen, it is the forsaken truth. That is the forsaken truth, and we're going to wrap that up here. Thank you for your time, ladies.